Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy Merida, and I've learned that your life purpose rarely arrives fully formed.
You know, I agree, Dr. Stacy. And in episode 2 of Pivot on Purpose, Dr. Stacy and I talk about why purpose is personal, why it unfolds gradually, and why rushing purpose clarity often derails your growth.
And if you've ever felt behind or uncertain about your purpose calling, our upcoming conversation will remind you that purpose matures as you do.
Sounds good to me, Dr. Stacy. I'm ready to go. Let's get started.
Let's get started.
Hi, this is Dr. John Stanko and my friend and collaborator,
Dr. Stacy Merida.
and we're glad you're back. We're glad we're back
We are.
for episode 2 of Pivot on Purpose. And you maybe felt you didn't do justice to pivot in our last episode. This word is so important for you. Obviously, we've chosen it as the title for the podcast. So share some more thoughts. So let's take a moment on pivot. What is it? Why the word? What role has it played in your life, or how has it played out in your life? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
I don't know if I can ever fully define the word pivot. I think it's definitely an action word for me. Through my lived experiences, when I look back and I see, I'm headed down one direction, maybe career goal, and whatever happens, the bottom falls out of the industry, or business models change. I've had to pivot, and it's really, sometimes we used to say a 360 degrees. No, it's like maybe 180. Some of mine have been 45 degrees. And so you have the 45-degree pivot, you may have the 90-degree pivot, and you may have the 180. But in some way, there's always been a pivot that helped propel me into my purpose, or different expressions of my purpose. So I think it's really hard to just have one little definition for pivot, because it really is about action, and it's ever moving, it's ever becoming, and there's no particular formula that I can speak of. So you'll probably hear me approach pivot from different angles. But
Stacy, I've sketched out my life, and it seems like I go through a transition about every 5 years, roughly speaking. Could be 4, could be 6. And so those have all been pivots for me. And of course, our culture with building up seniority and retirement, but I've talked to so many people who stay in places that they're just not feeling it. Right. I was in L.A. and I was doing a seminar, and the man I was talking with him, I said, "Are you happy with your job?" I thought we were going to talk, and he just outright said no. I said, "Well, how long have you not been happy?" I don't know why I asked him that. He said about 3 years. I said, "Well, you know the point." I said, "Why don't you leave? Or why don't you look for another job?" He said, "Because next year, at 20 years, I get an extra week's vacation." Wow. I said, "So let's do the math. You're going to work 250 days, 500 days between now and your 20th work anniversary to get 5 more days off. That's what you're telling me." And everybody they had never, in the seminar, never really had looked at it like that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what exactly he did with that, but my point in that is that's how we can get unpivotable. we can get so locked in.
Yeah.
And I've often told people, if you're staying for the benefits, especially the health benefits, and there's nothing wrong with health benefits, I said, but make sure you keep them, because if you work at things that you don't love, it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you your health. It's going to cost you your mental health, physical. My wife says you're swallowing a lot, and it doesn't digest. Wow. And that I have just found that to be so true. So you're still pivoting, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Even as we speak, it's knocking at the door.
It
and
is.
So
and it's not fully defined, but I have a lot of the components. I recognize that.
Yeah.
But it hasn't failed me
Yeah.
yet. So I can just kind of boldly keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you say it's not defined. That's such an important point. You walk in the truth that you have today, the
Yeah.
awareness that you have today. Something's coming. Or William Bridges was a late business author, and he wrote about transition. And he said, Stacy, there is a end. And there's obviously a new beginning. He said, but everything else is called the neutral zone. He said, and you don't know how long the neutral zone is. He said, everything in us when we're in the neutral zone wants to go back to the old or jump too quickly into the new. He said, but the neutral zone, if you can stay there, is your greatest area of creativity. It's your greatest area of entrepreneurship because it causes you to ask questions you hadn't asked before, go where you had never gone before. But that neutral zone, that neutral area makes people nervous. We've never talked about that concept, but does that make sense?
Oh my God, that is it. That's perfect. That's the neutral zone, and that's where I am. It's like, do I want to go back? You think about going back because of a sense of security.
Sure.
And it's familiar. You know what you're getting. You know what you have to do.
That's what the man told me. I'll stay another year, get 5 more days, because I know where all the problems are here. If I go someplace else, I got to start all over again.
Yes. And then there's the risk factor of, but what if? What if I don't get the next job? Or what if that business does not take off like I really hope it will? And that makes us nervous. And we don't do well in that gray area most of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think pivoting, too, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. In that, as I'll talk to people, and they, so you want me to quit my job? I didn't say that.
Right.
We're talking purpose. But in their mind, they don't see how they can be purposeful and still be where they are. So I try to make some suggestions. Like, at 5:01, start to do some of the writing the poetry, writing the screenplay, learning the language, going back to school. It doesn't have to be all or nothing right now, but you're preparing for the pivot. You're recognizing there's something more. I don't know what it is out there, but I need to acknowledge it today by taking these steps that I know. You went back to school.
I did.
And it wasn't easy, I'm sure, but you were adult, you had your degrees, but you went back.
And that was that's a great example of one of those moments of knowing you're going to do something else, but I didn't quit my job. I was full in on my job, and then I was in a full-time PhD program that I had to travel out of state to attend. It was a lot, but it's about how you manage your time. And I had to tell family and friends, you're not going to really be talking to me for the next 2 years because I have to focus to get this done. I didn't know what was going to happen after the degree, but once I finished the degree, then it seemed like things started opening up and I was getting offers to do other work. But I knew ahead of time, this degree is going to really mean something for me. It's part of my purpose. I have to follow this. And then it opened up as to what that would be.
Yeah, and you didn't get a PhD in biochemistry, did you? I mean, you didn't get one on music composition, did you? I mean, So 'cause the reason I say that is people come to me and say, "I have no idea what my purpose is." I say, "Really?" I say, "None." They say, "None." I say, "You have no idea." No idea. I said, "Well, do you want to drive an 18-wheeler?" They say, "No." I said, "Do you want to be a brain surgeon?" They said, "No." I said, do you want to be an aquanaut if there is such a thing? They said, "No." I said, "I thought you said you had no idea." I said, because if you had no idea, you'd have to say maybe to every one of those things.
That's correct.
But the fact that you can say no so definitively means you have some general idea. Now let's keep going. And then as I work with them, I take them forward. And invariably, Stacy, if we get someplace, they'll say, "That's it? That's it. I've been doing that all my life. I've been working with children all my life."
Ta-da!
But now it's not a job. It's more than that. It's the essence of who you are.
Yes.
And then that guides your job decisions from that point.
Absolutely.
Your educational decisions, your extracurricular activity decisions, and there you're extracting some purpose nectar from some of those flowers that you only get to visit every now and then.
That's good.
But it's not a sustained diet. So anyway, that's very
good.
helpful, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I appreciate so much about your story. You've been so, from what I could tell, joyful in your transitions. I mean, your pivots have been
Yeah.
purposeful, meaningful, and they've been exciting for you. Is that
They
a
have.
true statement?
Yeah, they have. Have they been perfect?
Mm.
No, absolutely not. Nothing is. But it's been exciting. I'm enjoying the journey. You know,
Yeah.
there are hard parts to it, but what isn't?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, things like the pandemic come along, other world events
Yeah.
that definitely impact the smoothness,
Yes.
the seamlessness of our transitions and our
Yes.
pivots. But
Yeah.
12 years ago, I was making more money than I had ever made in a position, all benefits paid, but something was missing.
Hmm.
And I resigned to start the publishing company.
Mhm.
And Stacy, as I was going into publishing, people were coming out
Coming
saying,
out.
"Don't go in there.
Yeah.
Don't go in there. It's a mess in there."
Yeah.
But it's been 12 years and it's been wonderful. It's been hard. It's not always been financially rewarding,
Mhm.
but I've worked with my son. I never thought that would be possible.
Mhm.
It's been a platform to publish my own books
Mhm.
and to assist other people. And I'm very proud, it's Urban Press, that 60% of our authors are people of color.
How about that?
And that hasn't been a program,
Mhm.
that hasn't been something I've had to strive for.
Mhm.
It's happened because it's a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And it brings
And look
us.
at the title. Look at the name of the company.
Yeah, Urban Press. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and you and I'll be working out of that.
That's
As
exciting.
well. It really is.
Yes.
It really is.
So exciting.
Are you intimidated about writing? Are you about the book project?
I'm not intimidated. I was nervous
Mm-hmm.
because that's not anything I've ever done before.
Right.
It was definitely not on my list
Mhm.
of things to accomplish before
Mhm.
I closed my eyes. But it felt so natural when discussing it with you and understanding this is just a medium of how to communicate to people.
Mm-hmm.
And with your guidance, you've helped me. It's like I just started writing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, well, here's
Yeah,
how
it's
we
good
structure it.
It's good stuff too. I mean,
Oh,
the
thank
stories.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're very excited for the world to be able to get even a further glimpse into your story and our story and
Yes.
how we've come together. Now, we said we were going to go through. I wrote this book on purpose, so
Yeah.
you can know yours. I
Mhm.
wrote this in 1997. I think I redid it in 2017. I try to redo my books every 10 years or so. It doesn't always work out. But again, bring our listeners, our viewers up to speed on that book and what it
Mhm.
meant for you and why it's
Mhm.
so special and how it served a purpose in
Yes.
us reuniting not too long ago.
Yeah. Okay. Again, in the book, you go through very simplistic examinations that we can take a look at how to define our purpose. What are we good at? What seems to stick out? You know, those questions that you posed to me were so simple, but yet so defining. And that has been the foundation for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're good at?
Mm-hmm.
What seems to be the things or actions that you just automatically participate or do and you don't even think about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that could really align with your purpose. So I just thought, what a great way to maybe help individuals. If they don't know their purpose, maybe
Mhm.
help them define it.
Yeah.
And then those that maybe are in the quest to or on this journey in their purpose, sometimes during that purpose journey, you may have to pivot. And, let's talk about what does that look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a universal message for everyone.
Yeah.
And giving them the principles and the tools to examine that, I think is priceless.
Well, the first book I wrote was "Life is a Gold Mine. Can You Dig It?"
I love that.
And it had the 5 what I call gold mine principles,
Okay.
and purpose, creativity, goal setting, time management, and faith. But when I would speak on purpose in the early days, people would, oh, this is such a fantastic message. Oh, it was so great. I loved it. And of course, I'm as you said, I can involve humor and but then I'm not the purpose police, so I don't go around asking people, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? But when people would talk to me like that and they'd say the message was so good, I say, well, what do you think your purpose is? They say, well, I have no idea, but the message was so good. And I'm thinking, how good can the message be if they don't really know their purpose? So that was back in many years ago, 97. So I said, I have to develop resources to come alongside people to help them understand, to apply what they're hearing or what they're reading. So that's where I wrote this book on purpose came from. It was actually my third book. My second book was a devotional out of the book of Proverbs, and so and it hasn't stopped for the last 29 years of continuing to produce resources for people to ask themselves questions, identify things that they have recognized about themselves. What does this mean?
Yeah.
How is this applied? So that's where I wrote this book on purpose, so you can know yours came from. And I love to come up with, if I can, with titles that are cute. That you can't always work like that. And so the book over the years was something you would go back to every now and then.
Yeah. That's, like I said, it's a foundational book. And during those moments of making sure that I was policing myself in a sense, all right, am I on point? Am I asking the right questions? Just kind of a refresher course in a sense. So it has been my guiding light for sure.
Now, in the book, I don't know why I did this. It was a long time ago, but all the words that I focused on began with P. And I've taught this. I've put it together in a seminar, Getting Your Life Back on Track, and I have taught the material in this. But and for our book, we're going to change some of the order of the words that begin with P. But this one, we wanted to talk a little bit about purpose is personal and it's progressive. Let's talk about the personal for a minute. When you find your purpose, it's nobody else can comment on it, nobody else can share it. Has that been your experience? Is that what you
own it? Yeah, you own it, and you're so sure of it that you don't listen to any outside noise. You can have people who mean well to say, oh, well, you ought to consider this, or have you thought about this?
Oh, you're so good at this, you ought to.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, thank you. But this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I appreciate that. And so you have to know, because that's how you can get swayed and taken off course. Yeah. So it has a certainty to it.
Or somebody comes and offers you a job, with a lot of money, and nothing
that's
wrong with a
tempting.
job with a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you don't want to call us, we may consider it, but it's
does it align?
Yeah, it means something to, oh my gosh, the aha moment. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. That's why I'm here. And so you said you own it.
You own it. It's yours.
You embrace it.
Absolutely.
That sounds so simple. Why is it so difficult for some people to do?
We make it difficult, but it's not. It's not. And that's what you did for me. You made it so simple, so relatable that, you're like, is that it? Is that all? I don't have to do 50 calisthenics and, no, it's just.
Run around the block.
Here it is. Right here. And it's so simple. So, and it is personal. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about what you came to realize, what we talked about, specifically what your purpose is.
Okay. When I took a look at kind of that whole self-analysis, what is it that I'm drawn to? What is it that I find myself doing without even really thinking about it? And some other key questions that you posed. I said, well, I'm always kind of drawn into or asked to do certain things that a lot of people don't like to do, or maybe don't know how to do. And that was, in this particular case, it was starting new departments at companies. And what do we need to get started? What systems, what processes do we need? Who do we need to talk to? And it was just innate that I would like, oh, well, we need to do this, this, this. We need to have this. We need to have that. And then start that process.
And it was
which
obvious to you.
challenging. It was obvious to me. And I loved it because it was challenging. It's like, oh, this is something new, you know? So, yeah, it was like not defining it as chaos, like, oh, what a mess. It was more of, it did not exist. So how do you create something centered around what doesn't exist, but it brings order to whatever the operations are, whatever is necessary.
And you probably thought it's so obvious to you. Why didn't anybody else see this?
You can think that, yeah. But and then I just say, you know what? But that's not what they were called to do. That's my responsibility. They play a major part in this entire operation, but their skill set may be a little different than mine, and that's fine because we need everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we came to define it as what? That your purpose is?
To bring order out of chaos. Simple.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's so many expressions of how that can be done. Yeah.
And mine, very similar. When I first started, in fact, in that book, the original version, I say my purpose is to bring order out of chaos. Now, let me assure you, if you're listening or watching, she's the only other person that's create order out of chaos. I just don't assign that label to people, and I didn't assign that to you. It was just something I suggested. I'm not the purpose distributor. I don't say, purpose Santa Claus. Here's your purpose, and here's your purpose. Ho, ho, ho. So, but I was never worried that it was the same because it'll always be so different. However, I had an experience about 20 years. It would have been 1991 I found my purpose. In about 2007, I'm in Zimbabwe. And I'm driving myself to the office. Back then, the traffic was sane enough that I could do that. And so I just have this epiphany that I don't bring order out of chaos. I create order out of chaos. And I trembled for the rest of the day. I was so impacted by that. Because I would tell people, Stacy, I'm not that creative. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm an administrator, and if you got a problem, I can put some things. But that day, from that day on, I started to see, I was a violinist, I started 2 companies, my sense of humor, all these things were my creativity that I was poo-pooing, that it's no big deal, but it was a big deal. And so I started to teach in my seminars on creativity, and creativity was not one of the original goldmine principles. It was purpose, goal setting, time management, organization, and faith. I combined organization and time management, and I put creativity in when I redid Life is a Goldmine for its 5th anniversary publication. But for me, it's the creativity. And you're creative off the charts. So I'm not insinuating that at all. But that was so, a part of what we're talking, it was so personal.
How about that? Yes.
It was just like, heaven shot an arrow, and it pierced me, or through a Nerf ball, and it stuck to my Velcro, and it has, for the last 20 years, has impacted my life. So personal, but then we also say it's progressive.
It is.
And talk to us a little bit about what that means.
We're ever becoming is the way I like to say it. You haven't arrived. And so your purpose is progressive. It could look one way in, one phase of your life, and as you progress, it can expand and look a little different. For me, I was in the music and entertainment industry, and my purpose became progressive by shifting me over into higher education. Purpose didn't change. It progressed into another area of my life, teaching. What I was executing and doing, then I became a teacher of it, to teach others. So that's being progressive.
Did you ever think teaching was a part?
Absolutely not. It was something brand new. Someone asked me, hey, can you come do this? And I'm like, okay, maybe. They're like, just teach what you've already done over these past 20 years. And when I tell you I came alive doing it, it was a little, nervous.
Sure.
I was like, I'm not sure how this works.
Stretching.
I did not understand higher ed at all. That's why I said I think I need to go get a graduate degree because a lot of this doesn't make sense. Academia is different.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of the goal of I need to understand what I'm doing so I can really be effective.
What kind of stuff? What have you taught? I'm curious.
Oh, I've taught what's called like survey of the entertainment industry, which is like an intro to all of the different revenue streams that you find in the entertainment industry. My main thing is I teach entertainment marketing. I was able to create a course for my last institution, and it actually became a required course, understanding how to market entertainment. Yes, you can market product brands, soup, shoes, clothing, but when you start dealing with creative people, entertainment industry, there's more to it than just a can of soup. You've got individuals. They all are human. They all have different approaches, different aspects. They have different audiences. So if I was, if you did a country record and I want to promote you, you've got a different demographic. Well, I've got to speak to that demographic to make sure it's effective marketing. If it's your grandchild and they're speaking to kids their age, that's a different marketing approach. So, and it's not static. And that's the thing that's so interesting about that particular industry is that nothing's static. You don't do the same thing usually over and over because we're all different. So that's a progression. I even taught like global corporate citizenship, how to be great citizens of our country, of our world, how to contribute, how to be responsible. That's part of the process. And if you know your purpose, you can even be a better citizen of that.
Yeah. Life is better when
It's
you
better
are
when it's on purpose.
when it's on purpose.
Yeah.
But you're not over yet, are you? You're
No.
into some new progressive purpose
gosh.
type things. What's the
Yeah.
latest? What's going on?
Well, I feel like I just kicked into third gear,
Mm.
and it's like almost turbo speed.
Mhm.
We're writing a book together because we feel so very strongly about this. How it has appeared in our lives, how we want to give back and help others do the same. So I'm doing that. I'm creating coursework to help individuals with this. Even tapping into social media, which I teach about social media. I haven't been so much a partaker of it, but that's progressive.
Right.
I got to get there. Been invited to speak at different conferences.
There's
and stuff.
speaking opportunities are
Speaking
coming
opportunities,
up. Yeah.
like what? You want to hear from me?
Right.
But I thought about it. I said, I've got 13 years of speaking in front of students, lecturing. So who knew that was preparing me for the next thing? But again, when you're in your purpose, one thing leads to the next.
Yeah, they come to you.
It does.
It's
And it's so exciting.
And you can't explain it. You just keep
Just do it.
preparing for it.
Yeah.
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 But I do a lot of teaching in England and Africa. Of course, football, soccer is the
Yes.
big thing. And I just say, they watch the World Cup. Or I was just in West Africa. The Africa Cup was going on. Senegal was playing Morocco, and I follow it, so I have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But I ask the people, when do you learn how to play soccer? When you get there? No, you learn, or you don't get to the World Cup saying, now, how do you take a penalty kick again? Where do I put the ball now? What's the goalie allowed to do? You've done that till it's second nature.
Right.
You get ready, and when
Yes.
you get ready, the doors are opening.
That's good.
And this is the danger of people trying to rush their purpose, isn't it? They think, again, I'm going to find my purpose, and then I'm going to land the 6-figure, 7-figure job, but it's not like that, is it?
No, it's not. It is progressive for sure. Each step prepares you for the next. You don't want to skip any of that because those are valuable and teachable moments that you're going to need, that when you arrive, you can stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and failures.
That's part of it.
It's sometimes they miss the penalty kick,
Yeah.
and they remember, well, the next time I did this or I faced that goalie. So I have this little thing I put people through when I teach. Sometimes I say, "Is failure a learning experience?" And they say, "Yes." I say, "Can you often learn more from failure than you do from success?"
Yes.
Are we always to be learning and growing?
Yes.
Therefore, should we not be failing as often as possible?
And the answer is yes.
It is, but people, and I go through it a second time. Now, I have thrown in failing on purpose. We're not talking about 5 bankruptcies or 7 marriages or anything like that, but we are talking about publishing, and we tried more children's publishing, and it didn't work. But we learned, and we grew, and it's that's part of the progression. That's part of the progress.
Yeah, I actually freed myself several years ago and said, this wasn't a failure. It was a teachable moment. It was a learning process. So I don't have to guilt trip and, woe is me. How did I miss that? No, that was a learning experience, because sometimes you learn more what not to do than you do what to do.
And
It's
so
a process of elimination.
It's not a failure.
It's not a failure.
It is that lesson can make money,
Absolutely.
can bring happiness, can bring
Absolutely.
joy, structure, and guide future decisions. So, but purpose, you're free to frolic a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a playful kind of thing. I've written poetry. I've written fables that teach, as some of the great Ken Blanchard and Pat Lencioni have done. I've been freed from myself to explore my creativity, and it has, and money has come. It hasn't come as I thought it would come.
Sure.
But when I didn't make it my main emphasis, the main determinant of what I was doing, it has happened. And again, I used to think I had to go to Africa and have people here help me do that. And when I got to Africa, they paid their own way.
There you go.
And
How about that?
I said, it's not supposed to be like that. But it was like that.
Yeah.
Stacy, we could go on forever. This is so cool, and you have done such good purpose groundwork. I'm not surprised at all the doors that have been opened for you. So we've talked about the fact that purpose is personal. It's your, I'd like to call it your set of fingerprints.
That's good.
That's unique to you. That when you touch something, you leave a mark that no one else can match in the entire universe. And the second point is that purpose is progressive.
Yeah.
That you find it today. But people a lot of times ask me, when I find my purpose, what should I do? I say, nothing. You treat it like a lozenge. You just get used to the flavor. You embrace it. You begin to look back in your past where you've done it. What are the possibilities for the future? You date it. You court it. Then you marry it. Then you have kids by it. But it's all progressive. It's all a part of the process. Stacey, thank you again for being here, and thank you for watching or listening. And we'll be back again with you soon. See you then.